Okay, boys and girls, couldn't stop there. Welcome to yet another episode of Little Modular. Today I present you this really interesting filter by SNAZZY Effects. Probably you know this company because they are veterans of modular world. In next episodes I will take a look at this Kick Me module and some other interesting modules like High Gain, which is a crossover between Distortion and Wave Folder, and some dual multiplier module, but that's in the following episodes. Today we will focus on the Eternal Spring filter. It's interesting because of few things. First of all, it's a dirty, unstable and crazy filter. It's not your typical everyday duty filter that you would use to achieve some particular sounds. This is not even temperature stabilized, so its outcome will depend on the temperature of your system and your room. Designers have left out this feature on purpose, so this will behave differently each time you turn it on, which is really cool if you ask me. Personally, I like that kind of instability, that kind of unpredictability, which makes modules more interesting and fun. So this is a dirty one. It reminds me kind of a Surge filter. It has this really pleasing, organic, woody quality to it. And at times when you push it, it can be, acid-like kind of. But cool thing about it is, even if you push it to the extremes, it will not squelch extremely like some filters do, like for example Borg's, which I love by the way, and I have two of them. But whenever they squeal, is that overwhelming squeal that just gets out of control really easily. Here, even if you max out the Q parameter, the resonance becomes a part of the source sound, so it's not overwhelming it, it just becomes a part of it, makes it fatter, more interesting. So it's perfect for drones and for some bass lines. It's a low pass, obviously. Here you have input, here you have output, and here you have the FM. This is inverted FM, just for fun. And here you have a CV input, which also has a dedicated attenuator right here that will allow you to tame this effect, depth of the modulation. A few more things to be said about the drive control and self-oscillating. It gets into self-oscillating pretty easily, but like I said before, it's also very musical, and you can think of the drive and Q parameters of sort of working together. So here's my signal from DPO, a simple saw wave. Now if you want to apply some gain, you can do it with the drive, but as you increase it, it starts to add some saturation and finally distortion wave folding kind of effect. This works in conjunction with the Q, so these two work together. Okay, and they have a different effect, of course, depending on different sources. For example, I can connect some percussion to it. Oh, by the way, I have just unplugged it and you still can hear it. This is the self-oscillation feature. So you can actually produce some really nice bass lines and kicks with it. For example, like so. And now if I apply some envelope to the CV, like so. This is, by the way, envelope from my peg. You can hear we have just achieved a really nice deep bass line. We can of course modulate this with FM to get some crazy lo-fi decimation effects. So we can hear The effects vary greatly with the kind of signal applied to the FM. In my case, I have applied a bank oscillator to the FM in. So I just can't stop wiggling with it. It's so cool because, you know, it has a, seems like it's a really limited filter, but whatever you dial in just sounds really nice. It has a really wide sweet spot. Okay, but let's go back to my previous example, which I wanted to show you, which was drum machine. I have some modules, mutant bass drum, snare, and some rimshot connected to the input right now. So you can see totally different sound. Again, let's input some modulation. We can try some low frequency oscillators modulation. Not as cool, but still, why not? For some really crazy wobbly effects, we can also do that. But audio rate modulation sounds nicer if you ask me. You can also ping that filter. In this case, you would simply patch a trigger to the CV in, and in my case I'm also multing it to the VCA on mix 3, which is fed with Rubicon previously, so I only get that ping which opens at the same time the VCA, so I'm only getting this pingy sound which I'm after. Now of course we have to look for that ping. So as you can see, this is really interesting filter. It's cheap compared to some other filters, and although it looks limited because it's only a low pass and it's really simple to use, not many functions on it, it is very musical and it can yield some superb results. Also doesn't take a lot of space, and it has this really crazy graphics that I love on the SNAZZY effects modules that give your system that hippie, crazy, psychedelic edge. So it stays, definitely. Give it a spin, give it a ride, and as usual, if you like that video, if you found it interesting, please subscribe to my channel. Bye bye. I'll see you next time.